We're live on Facebook, YouTube, and another, whatever the other platform is.
That's a lot of alive.
Yes, and it's on. They say so. I'm gonna turn my volume down. John Ashford. I should be more prepared than this, people, but I'm not. I come here live. Quite there. We are. There we are. Now we're live.
Well, if you're unprepared,
Yes.
you're up for
So,
awakening.
give us a time because I want to share this with other people. Let me share this with Access Consciousness.
Can you share with me too? Because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
Okay, so where is it? Where is it? Okay, if you go on your screen on your phone, you pull up my page on Facebook
Just share that.
and just push share. It should be a button that says share, and you can share with people, or you can share to a group, or you can share with individuals.
Look at that! I could see myself live.
Yes, so I'm gonna share with a few people, see what people think. Let's see. I know, guys. Technically, we got 2 people watching. How the hell? Who are you out there? So we know who you are. Let's see. I'm sharing this with a bunch of different people. Okay. So now I'm gonna share it to a group. Let's see. Midwest.
I just saw the title.
Oregon.
Don't fret.
Yes, don't fret, people. You hanging with 2 funny ass motherfuckers. We're gonna talk about some other
Not
things.
that we know anything about fretting and being insane or at all.
Okay.
All the other people are fretting and being insane.
They can do that. Okay, so enough of that. Going back to us. I'm going to be woo-saw present with you motherfuckers. Welcome to a talk with Anna and John. And we're going to talk about some shit. We're going to have some fun.
We always talk about shit and we realize we do it on the phone. So we figured we'd talk about shit with everybody.
Let's take it to the streets, as they say it.
Take it to the streets.
The streets of Facebook and YouTube.
Yeah.
And whoever out there, who else is listening.
The ethereal streets.
Yes. So, well, I wanted to have a dialogue with my sister about what's going on. What are people perceiving there now in their world outside, in their business, in their relationship, within politics, whatever the fuck, money. What is going on?
What's going on?
Ooh. Yeah, what the fuck's going on?
I don't know what the fuck is not going on.
Wow. Say more to that. That I like it better.
It just seems to, I want to say an explosion of everything at the same time, but when I say explosion, it just doesn't seem to be the right space. I think it's more of like an implosion of everything. Everything is like hitting each other and going bananas. And I feel like people have, this year in particular, but I guess in the last few years with all the insanity with COVID and Black Lives Matter and politics and everything going on, there's so much more aggression and insanity around everything.
Yeah. And part of it is because of what's being created. See, I like yesterday I got on and I was sharing with people. I was like, chill the fuck out. People
you got on after I fucking lost my shit on you on the phone, and you're like, bitch, you're being crazy. So let me go and have a live about this.
Yeah, and I did it but you weren't the only person. There was another person that did the same thing. And then I had my moment last night. And what I realized is that everywhere that we're turning down ourselves, instead of being the potent motherfuckers that we truly be, that has to change. There's a lot of people I admire out in the world, and there's a person that always comes to mind. I watch some of his Instagram lives. His name is David Banner, and he was saying something about he was doing a talk in the Bay Area, and it was the sister that came to speak his talk, and she came with like this princess dress. And he was a princess dress, like he said, or fairy dress, actually, because he said the only thing that was fucking missing was the wings. And he was like, what the fuck? I mean,
I want that dress.
Yeah. And so what he said was, he was like, he thought about it, and she said something about how important this dress was. And he said that he felt horrible about it. He had to reach out to her, and he had the story. I'm bastardizing the story, but he had to reach out to her and say, look, that's not cool. I shouldn't have done that. And what he realized is that he was stepping on her dreams, on her energy of who she was being. And he realized how many times that happens in the universe, that we step on each other dreams because we can't dream that big yet, or we decided that something was wrong with dreaming, or we stop believing in magic, or we try to fit our magic into somebody else's magic.
That reminds me of childhood, though.
Mhm,
You know, when you're a little kid, you're always dressing up. And
mhm.
little girls, you dress up as princesses, as fairies, you know, knights and policemen, and all this stuff. And it's the fantasy and the dream of being something greater or something admirable and whatever it is. And even if it's running around in fairies, you know, with fairy wings and a tutu, because I have two little girls and I encourage them to do it for a long time. And then at some point, it became such a wrongness in their world to be that. They
Yeah,
had to fit into the school box of what is acceptable for their friends. And, you know, otherwise they are harshly judged and be weird, but in a very detrimental way. And it was really fucked up.
mhm.
And when the moment you said that, I was like, what a bad bitch to show up in an event like that with her fucking fairy dress and not
Yeah,
give a fuck.
yeah,
And a 5-year-old showing up to dinner in her little tutu and fairy wings, right?
yeah,
And his first reaction was to put her in the box of wrongness.
yeah.
You know, and it's an interesting conversation because our beloved mutual friend Maureen, who kicked my ass this week because I was like, I don't know what's going on with my classes, and you know, people are not signing up, blah blah blah. And she's like, there's an energy of hiding what is going on. And I was like, oh, it's mine. I'm still hiding being present with my classes, being present with being weird and different, and talk about things that are incredibly uncomfortable and incendiary for people, because I still am in that box of hiding my fairy wings in the back of my closet.
Yeah.
You know, because I work in corporate America and I have all these other things. And you know, it was about being seen and being judged, and the I can't even talk now, the repercussions of that
Yeah.
in my world. And she's like, well, you know, I challenge you to put yourself out there. And so I reached out to you, and here we are. And I'm incredibly uncomfortable doing it. But I also know that there is a demand in my world to stop being somebody I'm not.
So here's the other thing that I'm realizing. I
I'm
mean,
putting on my fucking fairy dress and going out to dinner. That's what I'm trying
that's
to
what you
say.
got to do. You got to do what you got to do, sister. This is what I realize. And you saying that, sometimes I get kind of frustrated with me because things don't show up the way I want them to show up when I want them to show up.
Mhm.
And so I felt like it's a loss. Like we're Tori and I here at the show, Dave Matthews Weekend in the Gorge.
I
And
mean,
yeah, we're having some fun with it. But we are in this our Airbnb. And what I realized is that I'm a top shelf type of brother. And when I move
what
into
a
environment,
shocking discovery. Are you fucking kidding me? You just realized that?
yeah, but more so now, the funny thing with that shit is I got this place, and it's a beautiful home, but it's not the level that I require to live in.
It's not to your liking.
It's not to my liking. And I'm refusing that energy, but here's the piece. I have to learn how, not learn. I have to choose to use my power to change it, not to turn into a little crying bitch.
What if it's not necessarily choosing to change your power, but simply to receive it?
Yeah, that.
Which is so
But
much.
not receive
It's so
less than.
complicated, right?
Yeah,
You just made it really complicated. I have to choose to my power to ta ta
yeah,
ta 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 ta.
yeah,
And basic is just receiving the awareness of what your being, your body
yeah,
requires to be fully happy,
yeah,
and just allowing that to show up
yeah,
and receive it and then
yeah,
choose it. But we always think that there is something really deep that we need to go and dig and change and da da da.
yeah,
And the change is actually pretty simple. It's just
Yeah.
fucking receive. And
Yeah.
it's so challenging to do that a lot of the times. Because if you think, then you're like an uppity bitch if that's what you require in order to be happy. And so what the fuck what? You like to be comfortable.
Yeah.
Be
Yeah.
uppity. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I struggle with that sometimes too. And I just realized I just like to have beautiful, nice things and be comfortable and go to beautiful places and have amazing experiences. And I also like to sit on the corner of Manhattan and have a hot dog. And I don't care. Either one for me is happiness. And I love walking barefoot in the woods.
Yeah.
But to me, that's luxury.
Yeah.
Being in nature like that and being able to receive all the nature beings and all the beauty that this planet has to offer. To me, that's luxury also.
Yeah.
You know?
And not being apologetic for it.
Yes.
And a lot of times this is the other thing I realize is that,
or explaining it.
yeah, exactly. I'm not wasting any more time trying to convince or prove shit to people anymore. I'm just being me. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not that, because that's not fun for me. I made a commitment probably a little bit before my birthday that I'm not doing anything anymore unless it's total fun. If it's not fun, I'm not doing it. And somebody's like, well, how can you live a life like that? I'm not doing it. Last night, there was this sister by the name of Valerie June. If you've never seen her, pull her up on YouTube. Now this sister came on stage. I think she's from Tennessee. What is it? She's from someplace in Tennessee, or not Memphis. Yeah, where's the music where I think Elvis sang from? What city was that? Nashville.
Yeah.
Nashville. I think she's from Nashville, and or maybe Memphis. Okay, but she's from Memphis. Okay, Leela says she's from Memphis. Okay, what's up, Leela? What's up, babe? How you doing?
Luxury is personal. Exactly. Yeah. I'm reading it now too.
So she came out on stage with that dress that I'm talking about, and she had this veil, this veil that she wrapped herself and sang half the time, and she didn't give a fuck. She didn't. She just was being present with who. Oh, she went to your church. Okay, yeah, Leela. I want to talk to you because I want to meet that sister. She was just amazing last night. Her energy was like, wow. And when she came on the stage, it was like 20,000 people there. She didn't give a fuck. She was like, and like people had unplugged their stuff. The rest of her people in the band, she was getting up and she was still singing. I was like, go on with your bad ass. And Dave came out and gave her accolades and talked about her. And
what's her name?
Valerie June. June, like the month June. And she was just fucking amazing. And I was like, I have more of that type of energy. Yeah, Leela said she's pure fucking magic. She's magic, and she doesn't and she didn't apologize. And she talked about in the show, she talked about coming to be an earthling. She talked about the fairies and shit. And I was like, she talked about choice. I was like, this motherfucker. And some people were next to me, they were on their cell phone and they looked up for a little bit and they went back down because she didn't care.
She wedged their reality.
Yeah. She says, this is my fucking portion of the show. Bitches, y'all mine. You can get up and go to the bathroom and get something to drink if you don't like it. But she was her. And where aren't we willing to be that? Right. And she doesn't fit the stereotype of the way she should be. Because when you see her, she's gonna fit a totally different stereo. You're like, what? And so your mind actually goes like, what the fuck?
I was ready to see this. This isn't fit. Yeah, I love that. Now I'm gonna look her up.
And so, what would it take for us to have more of that energy? And like what you're saying, like even when it comes to the point when things are not going the way you want them to go, can you still be you when it's not happening? Can you still be like, fuck it? I'm still gonna move forward.
So that's the what we talk about in Access a lot between control and allowance, right? Because we have certain determinations that we make about how relationships are going to show up, how your day is going to go, how your bank account needs to look, and how you need to present yourself. And what if you realize that everything you're trying to create and control is very limited, right? And the universe can create a lot greater if you just allow it to show up. And that's why I fucking call your ass or somebody else to check me, because I know that when I'm going into that space, I'm not being me and I'm being insane, because I'm actually somebody who functions from knowing that anything in my life is possible, because my life in itself is evidence of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In every possible way, my life is evidence of the magic that exists without a lot of effort. And I know that when I'm doing a lot of effort, when I'm doing is I'm not being, and I'm not allowing the universe to work in my favor. I'm actually working against it to have my point of view aligned.
Yeah.
And when you were talking about her um, going with my ADD ass, it reminded me a little bit of Sia. You know, Sia was like showing up with all the crazy shit, and people were like, "What the fuck are you doing? Why are you hiding your face?" And eventually she ended up saying, "Because I don't want you to fucking focus on me. I want you to focus on what I have to offer, which is my music.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're paying attention to how fat I am, how beautiful I am, how all this shit that doesn't matter, you're not listening to my music."
Right. Right.
And that's my gift to you. You know,
Yeah.
or I'm bastardizing that too and summarizing
Yeah.
it. But essentially, that was very much the energy of what was there. So what if we, but she was hiding herself for it, so actually people can see her. So, but
Yeah.
that's also an interesting concept. You know, what if it's not about, what if you really hid your persona and put that aside and put, and I can't even explain what I'm trying to say, but like, what if that hiding was actually her showing up? Because we often put the mask on so people can see what it is, this very curated thing that we're trying to give people to have
It's
bite sizes of us.
yes, as long as it's not turning you down.
Right,
Because a lot of times when I hear hiding, the first thing is like, what is creating the space that you have to turn down?
right,
For me right now, I'm really like, I'll talk about like, I, I'm not hiding anymore. I'm willing to talk about and put everything out there, because in the universe, so what? That's what I hear of the universe saying. So what? So you did this. So what? So you did. So you failed. So what? So you created this. So what? When you start to look at the vastness of the universe, you tap into vastness. It's no fucking big deal. Anything. How you look, what you look, how fat, how dark, how light, white, whatever, what politics, what, it doesn't fucking matter to the universe.
no, it doesn't.
I mean, have you guys ever done this before? It is kind of interesting. You see Earth in our galaxy, in our solar system, right? You see the sun and the planets. I've seen videos where it shows that, and it goes out, 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 and you're looking at the Milky Way, and you see a speck of where you can assume Earth sits. And it's not saying that you're not significant, but it's showing you how significant and insignificant you are at the same time. That energy. What if you lived in that energy and you didn't care about what anybody? I mean, because in that energy, see, this is where I'm gonna step on some toes. I know some people are like, "I hear you, John. Why are you saying some shit like this?" Because I don't. This is my mind. I could not say anything, act like I don't think about this, or you could just click off and not follow and look at me again. That's your choice. But what I'm saying is the concept of religion and God. Ooh, I know I can feel the hair on the back of my neck stand up a little bit.
Me too. The moment you
That's
said those two words together, I'm like,
that's
fuck, here we
a
go.
reality of us on planet Earth. Now, it doesn't mean, I know some people are, well, what do you believe? First thing people want to do when they get uncomfortable is like, well, what do you believe in? I'm not talking about what I believe in. I'm talking about just, can you expand yourself to look at, oh, that's a point of view from us on planet Earth.
Well, and I think also
And
my
it's nothing wrong with it. I'm not saying what I'm saying, it doesn't, but it creates what it creates for you.
it does. My interesting point of view is that often people get religion and God mixed up.
And that's their choice.
And that's their choice and it works for them and that's totally fine.
Yeah.
You know, but to me personally, there is an expansion that happens with the concept of quote unquote God.
Yeah.
Right. But we I can't even say it. We make God smaller than us. And what I mean by that, now I'm gonna get canceled. Is you know, when we talk about forgiveness and we have to ask forgiveness and beg for forgiveness, and if you do one of these things wrong, which in my point of view, so much of it is so banal, you won't be forgiven. You're going to be eternally damned to this place
Yeah.
forever. And forever is a really fucking long time. We have no
Absolutely.
idea what that means. But if you ask a parent, if your child killed somebody, would you still love them and forgive them for it, even though you understand the consequences and their choice was fucked up?
Yeah.
But would that diminish your ability to love that child and forgive that child? And not everyone, but a lot of people will say absolutely. But then we talk about religion and God, he doesn't, unless you truly beg and repent. Do you truly need your son to really repent for you to still love him and forgive him?
Wow.
No. And will you ever give him another chance to be able to get his or her shit together?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
Why do you think God would be less than you?
so there was a book and a movie
I'm
made.
definitely getting canceled, but
No, you're not here. So
oh, I got
there was a book written by a guy from Oregon out where I'm living called The Shack. And if you haven't seen that story or read that book or seen the movie, check it out because
is it the
in the
shack?
The Shack, SHACK. It's a deep ass story. And it talks a little bit about that. And it also expounds beyond like our concepts. We have a lot of interesting things. Here's the piece in a nutshell from Access Conscious. We have a lot of points of view that keep our asses trapped in small living in a tiny house, living in a tiny body, living tiny thinking, hanging out with tiny
What is
motherfuckers.
it that Gary always likes to say? Postage stamp life.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
you go from one postage stamp to two postage
Yeah.
stamps.
Yeah. So what would it be like?
Woo! My
What would
life.
it be like? What would it be like for people to choose outside of it? And it's different. Like at the show, Tori and I was at the show. And we were just observing people, and we were observing people and their energy and what they're being. And I was just sitting back there in amazement of what people are choosing to be, and how many weirdos show up. That I really like weirdos. There's a guy that we've seen there, and he came and it was at nighttime, so he had these lights around his cane so he could see when he's walking through the crowd. I was like, that's dope. That's a weirdo. He had a concept that I need to see some where I'm going. I want people to
That's
see me
not a
coming.
weirdo. To me, that's somebody who's really ingenious.
Yes.
That like is able to create shit to like figure out issues in whatever way it shows up.
Yeah,
Like,
but
to me,
it's
weird
weird
people.
to this because you can see people looking like, what the fuck is that? It's
Yeah.
like, are you willing to be that different? Are you willing to be that different that people and not really caring what they say or do? Because this guy came by and he saw me and he recognized me from last year. He came and gave me and Tori a hug. He said, "Hey, how you doing?" And people were looking. I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "That's the energy that I like to fuck with." Those people, they're willing to be that different. And so I say that because anybody, if you're going through anything right now, you're stressing out and you're worried about things, maybe you don't have to stress out anymore. Maybe this is something, maybe you're aware of the changes that you can't define, which makes you scared. Because sometimes we get really fucking nervous when things start changing. Like, for example, yesterday we were talking about
And
business.
is it yours?
Is it yours? And sometimes you look at it like I was doing this class, this money workbook class, and it is yours because you're like, my business is not working. So, but what are the other possibilities that you haven't asked? Or like Tori and I got this house and it was kind of filthy in the house. It's like, well, I was sharing with her what questions and I asked. It's a beautiful house and it's nothing. And here's the piece about it. Would you be willing not to put anything in others and especially yourself in any wrongness because it's not fitting what you expect in this 10 seconds?
But interesting, right? Because the house you said is a beautiful house, and you
Yeah.
said that several times. And I was like, well, if it's a beautiful house, what's the issue? And you just said it's actually filthy.
Yeah.
So, what choice happened between the moment you chose it
Yeah.
to actually when you entered it?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it looked like nobody has entered the house since we entered it for a long time. And so that was the piece.
And how neglected it is, because
Yeah.
the person who rented it should have come to the house or
Yeah.
sent somebody to clean
Yeah.
it before you arrived.
And that's what we were talking about. That's what we're talking. And what people
The
be
lack of
willing.
care.
Yes. What people be and here's the other realization. it was a real contribution because I realized, like I said earlier, and when we start talking, what my expectations are for things that I pay for. I like me a lot, so I want things to be top shelf. That's just how I feel about
I
things.
at least expect it to be clean.
Yeah, at the minimum.
At the minimum, I
At the
expect it
minimum.
to be clean.
Yeah. But sister, I gotta get out of here.
Oh, my love.
I got a Dave Matthews Day to finish, and we gotta fix some breakfast, and we're gonna have some fun. It's a pleasure hanging out with all of y'all today.
Yep. And thank you for
And
having me
yes, we'll
and
do this again sometime.
continuing our crazy conversations in public.
Always. Peace and blessings to
Have
everybody.
the best time. I'm gonna go check out Valerie June now.
Cool, cool, cool.